Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep into deep work.
Deep work.
Cal Newport's book, Rules for Focused Success in a Distracted World. I feel like everyone is always looking for these tips on,
Yeah.
how to be more productive and get more done.
Right.
And so much of it comes down to focus, which is what he
Yes.
talks about in the book.
It's so rare these days, to have that true deep focus. It's almost like a superpower with
Yeah.
all the distractions we
It
have, all
seems.
the things vying for our attention.
And that's why I think this book is so valuable. It really gets into, how to cultivate that ability to focus deeply.
Yeah.
And why it's so important, especially in today's world. So maybe we could start by defining deep work.
Yeah.
As Cal Newport kind of articulates it in the book. What is deep work?
Well, he says it's professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their limit.
It's about creating new value, improving your skills, doing things that are, hard to replicate.
Right.
And it's so interesting because it makes so much sense when you think about it. It's like we're constantly bombarded with distractions, email, social media, just all the noise of the world.
Yeah.
But it's those periods of deep focus where we often get the most significant results, make the most progress.
100%. Think about when you've learned something truly hard, truly complex. Like, I'm sure you've had to do that in your life.
Oh, yeah.
I know I have. It's always been during those times when I was able to shut everything else out and just focus on that one thing.
It's so true. And it's not just about, learning new things. It's about producing work that you're really proud of.
Absolutely.
Whether you're writing, coding, designing, whatever it is that you do.
Yes.
That ability to really get into that flow state of deep focus is often what separates,
Good from great.
good from great. Yeah.
Really is.
I love that he uses the example of this craftsman, Rick Furr, I think is his name.
Rick Furr, yeah.
Makes Viking-era swords.
Oh, yes, the swords.
Talk about dedication. Like he spends hours,
Right.
days, even weeks,
Yeah.
meticulously shaping, refining.
That level of detail, the craftsmanship, is incredible.
It's inspiring. And it's like the perfect illustration of what deep work is all about.
It really is.
It's about, that level of focus, that level of commitment to really mastering your craft.
But it's sad because, this kind of deep work is becoming increasingly rare.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I think a lot of it has to do with how our work environments are structured, like open office plans, the expectation of being constantly connected, constantly available through emails and Slack.
Yeah, it's almost ironic, right? Because companies want innovative, high-quality output,
Yeah.
But they're structuring their one environments in a way that makes it really difficult for people to do that deep thinking.
It's true. I mean, especially in knowledge work,
Yeah.
where it's not always so clear what you're supposed to be doing
Right.
or how to measure success.
It's easy to just fall into the trap of busyness, right? Doing what's easiest or
Yeah.
most visible,
Right.
even if those tasks aren't really moving the needle.
He calls that the principle of least resistance. Like, we naturally gravitate towards the tasks that require the least mental effort, even if they're not the most important. Like, it's so much easier to answer a quick email than to, sit down and really think deeply about a complex problem.
It's like, that anecdote in the book about Facebook's massive open office plan.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Thousands of employees crammed into this giant space and,
It's meant to foster collaboration, but...
Yeah, on the surface, it sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's just a constant stream of distractions, right?
Right, yeah. You can't really focus.
You can't focus, and it's,
And he mentions a lot of highly productive people like Cal Newport himself. And, he talks about Richard Feynman, the physicist.
Yeah.
They fiercely protect their time and space.
They need those boundaries. They need that quiet. And I think that's something that we all need to a certain extent.
Absolutely.
It's about creating those conditions for deep work to happen. And it's not just about productivity, right? It's about finding meaning in what we do.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so powerful about this concept of deep work. It's about aligning your efforts with something that really resonates with it.
Deeply.
Deeply, yeah. It's like he talks about those philosophers.
Eva Dreyfus and Sean Dorrance-Kelly.
Dreyfus and Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they argue that there's a deep connection between...
Craaftsmanship and deep work.
craftsmanship, deep work, and finding meaning in what you do. So it's not just about, churning out widgets. It's about
approaching your work with a sense of purpose and striving for excellence.
It's about getting lost in that process of honing your skills and creating something that you can be proud of.
And that's where flow comes on. Have you ever experienced flow?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Tell me, remind me, what is flow? I know, like, when I'm in it.
It's that feeling of being so completely absorbed in what you're doing that time just seems to fly by.
Like you're in a trance, almost.
Exactly. And you know, what's amazing is there's actually a neurological basis for it.
Oh, wow.
Your brain releases all these neurochemicals that create this feeling of intense focus.
So it's like, it's not just a subjective feeling. It's like actually happening in your brain.
Exactly. And it's deeply satisfying, those moments of flow. It's not just about getting things done.
Yeah.
It's about tapping into a state of mind that feels incredibly rewarding.
Makes so much sense. So it's like deep work is not just a productivity hack. It's a pathway to a more fulfilling and meaningful work life, which I love.
Totally. And it's a skill you can cultivate. It's not like you're born with it. It's something you develop.
Through practice.
Through practice, yeah. So once you've decided, okay, I want to embrace this idea of deep work.
Yeah. How do you make it happen?
He outlines 4 distinct philosophies for scheduling deep work.
Oh, interesting. Like frameworks for making it happen.
Exactly. Different ways to integrate it.
Okay. I'm in. Tell me about these philosophies.
Okay, so the first one is called the monastic philosophy.
Monastic, okay.
And it's all about eliminating distractions completely. Like, imagine going off the grid, disconnecting from the world.
Oh, wow.
And just dedicating yourself entirely to your most important work.
That sounds very intense.
It's intense. It takes a lot of commitment.
Yeah. Is it even possible these days, like, to truly disconnect?
It is for some people. He uses the example of Neil Stephenson, the science fiction writer. He's known for these like really detailed, immersive novels.
Yeah.
And he says he avoids email, social media, even public appearances to protect his time for deep work.
That's amazing. I could see, like, for writing, especially for something as complex as a novel, you'd need that level of focus.
You need it, yeah.
But I don't know if I could handle that level of, like, isolation. What about the other philosophies? Are they a little more
They're a little more
real-world friendly?
Yeah. So the second one is called the bimodal approach.
Bimodal, okay.
And it's about alternating between periods of intense, like monastic-style deep work and then periods of high accessibility and collaboration.
Okay.
So it's like switching back and forth between these 2 modes.
Okay, so it's like finding a balance between deep focus and then, being out in the world, interacting with people.
Yeah. A great example is Adam Grant, the Wharton professor and author. He's like incredibly productive. He's always putting out books, but he's also very engaged in the community. And he does this by scheduling these blocks of time for deep work where he disconnects completely.
Yeah.
And then he balances that with times when he's highly accessible to his students and colleagues.
That's really interesting. So it's like recognizing that you need both. Right?
You need both.
You need that deep focus, but you also need to be able to collaborate and connect with people. What's the third philosophy?
The third one is called the rhythmic philosophy.
Okay.
And this is all about building a regular, consistent, deep work habit.
Okay, so like incorporating deep work into your daily or weekly routine.
Exactly. Like scheduling a specific time each day for focused work.
I like that. I like the idea of creating a rhythm for deep work. Because it's like, it doesn't feel like this big, overwhelming thing. It just becomes part of your flow.
Yeah. Like he uses the example of Jerry Seinfeld, the comedian. Seinfeld has this method for writing jokes where he uses a wall calendar.
Okay.
And every day that he writes, he puts a big X on it. The goal is to keep a chain of X's going. Just a simple but powerful way to build that habit.
I love that. I love that strategy. So simple, but so effective.
Right.
What about the fourth philosophy?
So the fourth one is the journalistic approach.
Okay, journalistic.
And this is all about flexibility.
Okay.
It's about seizing moments for deep work whenever they arise, rather than adhering to a strict schedule.
Okay, that sounds a little chaotic to me.
It can be. You have to be able to switch into deep work mode quickly. Cal Newport actually uses this approach.
Does he really?
He does, yeah. He's got all his academic responsibilities. He's writing books. He's got a family. So he just fits in blocks of deep work.
Whenever he can.
Whenever he can.
So it's like being opportunistic with your focus. Finding those pockets of time.
Exactly. It's not for everyone.
Right.
But it can be effective.
So 4 really interesting philosophies, different ways to approach deep work.
Yeah.
And I love how they kind of cater to
Different personalities, different work styles.
yeah, different personalities, different lifestyles. So now I'm thinking,
Yeah.
okay, these are great philosophies, these are frameworks,
Mm-hmm.
but how do you actually...
The tactics.
Yeah, the tactics, the strategies for implementing them. Like, what are some of the specific things that Cal Newport talks about?
Well, he has a lot of great advice on that. We could talk about rituals, grand gestures. He even talks about strategic collaboration and how that can actually enhance deep work.
I'm fascinated. Let's dive into all of that.
Let's do it.
Okay, so rituals, grand gestures, strategic collaboration. I'm ready. Let's hear it.
Let's start with rituals. They can be incredibly powerful, for signaling to your brain that it's time to transition into deep work mode.
It's like creating a mental cue, right?
Exactly.
It shift gears and really get into that focused mindset.
Like a trigger.
Yeah.
Again, Cal Newport, he has this shutdown ritual that he does at the end of every workday, where he reviews his email for anything urgent, transfers any tasks to his to-do list, and then he says out loud, "Shutdown complete." Just a simple way to signal to his mind that it's time to disconnect.
I love it. It's like a mental power down sequence. It's so intentional, which I think is really helpful, especially in today's world.
Yeah.
Where it's so easy to just keep going.
And that reminds me of grand gestures.
Oh, yeah, grand gestures. What are those again?
So those are about creating an environment that's like so conducive to deep work that you almost can't help but focus. Okay. Like going to a library or a quiet coffee shop to work.
Yeah, somewhere where you can really hunker down.
Exactly. Or sometimes even something more dramatic. Like he tells a story of J.K. Rowling checking into a 5-star hotel to finish the last Harry Potter book.
Wow.
Like really making a statement that deep work is a priority.
That's amazing. It's like sometimes you need that change of scenery, even if it's temporary, just to kind of shift your mindset.
Shift your mindset, yeah.
Now, I'm curious about collaboration.
Okay.
Because it seems like deep work is often portrayed as this, like, solitary activity.
Very much so, yeah.
Can you collaborate and still do deep work?
That's a great question. And Cal Newport, he actually says that collaboration can be valuable, but only when it's done strategically.
Okay.
And he advocates for what he calls the hub and spoke model.
Hub and spoke. Okay, I need to explain that to me.
So imagine like a wheel.
Okay.
Right? You have the hub. That's the collaborative space where people come together, brainstorm, share ideas. And then the speaks are the individual workspaces where people can go to process those ideas, focus deeply, and get work done.
So it's like finding that balance between, the stimulation of being around other people.
Exactly.
And then that quiet time, you need to think deeply.
And it reminds me of, have you heard of Building 20 at MIT?
Oh, yeah.
Legendary.
It was this, like, weird hodgepodge building.
A hodgepodge, yeah. Known for its, like, haphazard design, but also, like, the amazing collaborations that came out of it.
Like breakthroughs in, like, all sorts of fields, from radar.
A radar to linguistics. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
But it was also, like, kind of a mess, right?
Total mess, yeah. Leaky roofs, random hallways.
Yeah, but that's kind of what made it so special, right? Because it, like, fostered these serendipitous encounters. But here's the thing. Even in that environment, they still valued those private offices.
Yeah.
Like, they had the hub.
They had the hub.
But they also had those spokes.
They needed the spokes, yeah.
To go and do their deep work.
Yeah. Collaboration's great for sparking ideas, getting feedback, but you need that deep work time to really develop those ideas, refine them, make them into something great.
Okay, so we talked about rituals, grand gestures, strategic collaboration, so much good stuff. But let's get, like, practical.
Yeah.
How do we actually implement deep work? Like, are there things we can do to get better at it?
Oh, absolutely. He has tons of practical advice. So we could talk about treating deep work like a business.
It's a business, okay.
Or the importance of downtime to recharge and reflect.
That's important.
And even training your mind for depth.
Okay.
There are specific things you can do.
I need all of that. Let me hear it.
Let's do it.
I know, right? It can feel like a lot.
Yeah.
To take in, but it's all so good. So where do we even begin? Like, if our listeners feeling a little overwhelmed, what's the one thing they can focus on to start incorporating deep work into their life?
You don't have to become a monk.
Right.
Start small. Think about what resonated with you. Was it the rituals? Was it maybe the social media sabbatical? Or just scheduling, like, a block of time each day.
Yeah, finding what works for you.
Yeah, for you. And remember, it's a practice. It's not about being perfect. It's about making progress.
It's about the journey, not the destination. Okay, so let's give our listeners a specific challenge.
Right.
What's one small change they can make this week to start incorporating more deep work into their life?
Okay. This week, I want you to pick one task that you want to tackle with deep focus. Could be anything big or small.
Yeah.
As long as it requires, your full attention.
So you have a target, something specific.
Yeah, target.
To work towards.
Now, schedule a 30-minute block in your calendar.
Okay.
Just for that task.
Treat
it like a meeting, something you can't cancel. And during those 30 minutes, no distractions, phone on airplane mode.
Oh, yeah.
Close your email.
Laptop closed, man.
Laptop closed if you need to.
Yeah.
Create a quiet space. Really focus.
That's key, isn't it?
It is.
Like creating that mental space.
Yeah. And don't worry if your mind wanders, just gently bring it back. Remember, it's a practice.
It takes time.
It does.
I love this challenge. It's so simple, but so powerful, Just 30 minutes, but it's a starting point.
But once you experience that, even for a short time, you're famed at how much you can get done and how good it feels.
So one task, 30 minutes, no distraction.
That's it.
Dive deep.
Dive deep.
I can't wait to hear how it goes for everyone listening.
Me too.
Well, this has been an incredible conversation about deep work. So many great insights and strategies from Cal Newport's books.
So valuable.
So thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
On this deep dive. I hope everyone's feeling inspired to start incorporating more deep work into their lives.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep diving deep. 2020